forecast, things looking crazy. A storm on the horizon, the pressure is low. Gotta get moving, put on a show. The news is all buzzing, state of alert, but we've got a plan, we're ready to work. Emergency Management Associates, we're here for the crisis, we're here for the fates. From the first sign of trouble to the all clear sign, we're on the front lines, we're one of a kind. Emergency Management Associates, we're the calm in the chaos, we're opening gates, connecting the dots and making the calls. We're picking you up when you're starting to fall. See a little fire or a rising flood, we're a well-oiled machine, we're running in the mud. From the city hall meetings to the rescue teams, turning worst case scenarios into hopeful dreams. We're training the people, we're stocking the gear, we're the team you can count on when trouble is near. Emergency Management Associates, we're here for the crisis, we're here for the fates. From the first sign of trouble to the all clear sign, we're on the front lines, we're one of a kind. Emergency Management Associates, we're the calm in the chaos, we're opening gates, connecting the dots and making the calls. We're picking you up when you're starting to fall. It's more than a job, it's a calling, you see. Prepared for the present and what's yet to be. Every second counts, we're ready to react for our communities. We're making an impact. Emergency Management Associates, we're here for the crisis, we're here for the fates. From the first sign of trouble to the all clear sign, we're on the front lines, we're one of a kind. Emergency Management Associates, we're the calm in the chaos, we're opening gates, connecting the dots and making the calls. We're picking you up when you're starting to fall. Yeah, we're picking you up, we're ready to go. EMA, let's get this show on the road.
Let's get this show on the road. Let's get this show on the road, guys. Hope you're having a wonderful day. This is Ron Tyler with Emergency Management Associates. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. That's where we're at, guys. We're in North Carolina now. We've been here for quite some time, actually about 5 years now. But we're glad to have you all here with us. Thank you for joining us, guys. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Today, we're going to be talking about earthquakes, volcanoes in the Pacific Northwest. We're going to be talking about earthquakes and volcanoes in the California northern part of the state, and also something new that's happened at Clear Lake Volcano. We're going to be explaining that, so stay tuned for our show tonight. It's going to be jam-packed, I promise you. It's going to be a lot of fun talking about it. Okay, now, I want to go over here and talk about what is actually going on. Okay, let's talk about the Pacific Northwest first. Okay, right up here. This is the northern volcano in the Pacific Northwest, just south of the Canadian border. This is called Mount Baker. Notice what Mount Baker's doing. What's Mount Baker doing, guys? There is a bunch of magma coming into the volcano, and it's creating what they call harmonic tremors. That's what we see right here. Harmonic tremors here, guys. That's been going on for now 2 months. 2 months. But let me show you this. Wait till you see this, guys. This is the volcano on the north side called Shuxin. Okay, this is the north side of Mount Baker. Shuksan is a ski resort. Okay, look what's happening here. What are we showing you? Okay, these are what they call VLF waves. VLF waves caused by magma coming into the volcano. Look at this. It's ongoing. It doesn't stop. Okay, it's not crazy like we've had in the past, but it's ongoing harmonic tremors. The magma coming into the volcano causing these harmonic tremors, and you can see it on the quite clearly on this particular seismogram. This is what they have volcano, or this is what they have these seismograms for, in this case, to see exactly what the magma is doing. Okay, the magma is causing harmonic tremors. Okay, when it's all crazy like, it's causing earthquakes. Sometimes they are severe earthquakes the USGS is not reporting. Okay, not reporting. USGS almost never reports earthquakes around Mount Baker. In the times that I've been here on this program for over 6.5 years now, Mount Baker's only showed up on the USGS map once. Once. I believe they were only showing a minor 2-point-something earthquake. Once in 6.5 years. They're not even paying attention to these volcanoes at all. At all. As we pointed out in the past, USGS is only showing microquakes at Mount Rainier, and today there's none. USGS is not reporting earthquakes at all at Mount Rainier, and actually there's nothing going on. Yes, there is. On the USGS map, they would have us believe nothing's going on, but Mount Rainier is active. I'm going to point out Mount St. Helens and the rest of the volcanoes. I shouldn't say the rest, but for the most part, the volcanoes that are most active, the volcanoes we need to be worried about. Okay, that's what we're doing tonight. But again, this is Mount Baker. Mount Baker's active, causing those harmonic tremors. Let's go south. The next volcano I'm going to take a look at is Glacier Peak, right here. Okay. Now, Glacier Peak is a very active volcano. This is showing a lot of activity here. A lot of activity. Now, let me back up a little bit about 334 years ago. 334 years ago, we had a major earthquake in this area. A major earthquake off the northwest Washington shoreline along the Cascadia subduction zone and or the Juan de Fuca Fault. It was a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake. Okay, it's called the Cascadia subduction zone earthquake. At that point in time, 334 years ago, there was a mariner, a sailor out to sea. The captain's log indicated that that sailor saw either Mount Rainier or Glacier Peak moving, erupting. This is what we show at Glacier Peak, guys. Glacier Peak does not often show us this, but this is the sidegram showing the activity at Glacier Peak. Look at that. Last night, at the top line here is 5 p.m. Okay, 1700, 1-7 is 1700 hours military time, and it's showing us almost nothing going on. Almost nothing going on. All it's showing is a couple minor, very minor tremors, maybe 1.1, 1.0, 1.1 tremors. However, after 9 p.m. last night, after 2100 hours on the left-hand side, we start seeing just more than 1 or 2 tremors. It really gets going. In fact, we have possibly 1.8, 1.9 tremor, which is a pretty good sized tremor. And then this morning, after 1 a.m., at approximately 1:07 a.m. this morning, Pacific time, we had a 2.7, 2.8 earthquake. You can see it here on the graph. A 2.7, 2.8 earthquake. Now that's not enough to wake anybody up. 2.0, 2.9 earthquakes cannot be felt. But that's enough of an earthquake to be aware of. Glacier Peak only has one seismograph on the mountain, one seismograph detailing what's going on here at Glacier Peak. Most volcanoes all over the Pacific Northwest have at least 10 or 11 seismographs surrounding the mountain. That way, scientists can keep an eye on what's going on. Now, it doesn't mean that they don't show those to the public. They don't. Most of the time, they only show one or two, maybe three seismographs showing you anything. I'm going to show you some of those today. This seismograph is showing activity at Glacier Peak. After that 2.7, 2.8 earthquake, we had increased tremor activity. And yes, we did have some 2.0, 2.3 earthquakes here. Down at the bottom of the seismograph, you see all the activity after 6 a.m. 5:30 to 6 a.m. and down here until 10 a.m. this morning. That is a lot of seismic activity, but look what they're not showing you after that. They're not showing any activity at all. That's not what these volcanoes do. They don't automatically shut off. But that is what the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network wants us to believe, that the volcanoes stop moving. That's impossible. They don't do that. Okay? What has happened here is the seismologists have shut either off or they have turned it all the way down where it's not showing any activity. Usually they do that during the middle of the night, as you see it here after 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. last night. They usually shut it down, but on this particular seismograph, they're not showing it. They're showing a lot of activity here. But between, say, 7 to 9 p.m. to about 7 a.m., they turn them down. I'm going to show you some of that activity at the other volcanoes. But Glacier Peak is active. This is the most activity we've seen at Glacier Peak in some time. That's Glacier Peak. Let's move on here. Okay? From Glacier Peak, we do go down to Mount Rainier. Let's take a look at what's going on at Mount Rainier today. Okay? The first thing I'm going to show you is Emerald Ridge. The Emerald Ridge seismograph on Mount Rainier. This is it. Look what we're seeing here. We're seeing a lot of tremor activity here. A ton of tremor activity. We're not even seeing minor earthquakes here. But this is still a lot of tremor activity up and down the mountain. But there's more than that. Let's go over to Camp Sherman. Camp Sherman. Here we're seeing minor earthquakes, and down here at the bottom here, after 5 a.m. this morning, about 5:02 a.m. this morning, we have a 2.8 earthquake. A 2.8 earthquake. All the rest of these seismic signatures here are tremors. 1.1, 1.5, 1.6, 1.7 tremors, but there is one signature left. You see it up here on the upper right-hand side of this seismograph. What is that? What is that? It's a magma churn signal. A magma churn signal. Let me enlarge that so you can take a look at it. This is important information here. Okay? This magma churn signal usually shows as a very tiny rectangle. The lines out to the right are showing steam signals. The vertical lines out to the right of this magma churn signal are showing steam. Mount Rainier is steamy. Mount Rainier is steamy. If any of you are over in Washington right now, around the Seattle area, or over in the valleys over there, you're going to see steam coming from Mount Rainier. It's almost a certainty of it, okay? But let's take a look at that very thin rectangle here. The magma churn signal is typically 23 or 24 lines, but we've never seen that. We've never seen it happen yet. That's because the seismologists have turned down the seismograph. The seismologists at these volcanoes have turned down the seismograph so it's not showing actual activity. But what we're seeing here is a magma insurance signal that's typically, like I said, 23 to 24 lines high. And this one happens to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines high. 8 lines high means this seismologist turned the seismograph down to only show about 32% of activity at the mountain. 30 to 32% of activity at the mountain. That means these tremors and these earthquakes were actually larger than what they're showing them to be. They're actually larger than they're showing them to be. Interesting, huh? It absolutely is. Now let me reduce the size of this seismogram here, and we'll go over here to this earthquake that happened. Just give me a second. Okay. Let's go over here to this earthquake that happened last night. Okay. It's on the blue line here. On the blue line. This appears to be a 1.8 tremor. 1.7, 1.8 tremor. Now, if this is right, which I believe it is, this earthquake should have been more like a 3.0 earthquake. A 3.0 earthquake. Twice or 3 times the size of what it is right here. Now we have one other earthquake here. This earthquake happened after 10 p.m. last night. Actually, I'm sorry. Yes, it was after 10 p.m. last night. Okay, what's that? How strong an earthquake was that? Okay. This happened after 10:06 p.m. This earthquake here happened after 10:06 p.m. See over here it says 22. That's 10 p.m. This is 10:06. This is at least a 3.3 earthquake. This is at least a 3.3, possibly 3.5 earthquake, as it shows right here. So if this seismograph is turned down to only show 30% of real world, this earthquake is more like a 4.5 earthquake. This earthquake here is more like a 4.5 moderate earthquake here at Mount Rainier. And from the people I've already spoken to that may have felt that earthquake, they said it was at least a moderate earthquake. That earthquake around Mount Rainier was at least a moderate earthquake. But they're not showing it. They're only showing it as a small earthquake. 3.3, 3.5 earthquake. This was at least a 4.5 moderate earthquake today here at Mount Rainier. Okay, so we learned a couple things here. We learned a couple things. That the magma churn signal is showing us activity. It's actually showing us activity here. But it's also showing us activity that's been turned down. It's showing us that the seismologists don't want to talk to us about what is actually happening. They've turned down the device so the device is not showing actual activity. Now the vertical lines where there is no dot in the middle of them. You see vertical lines here on the seismogram without dots in the middle of them? Those are also steam signals. That's also steam activity here at Mount Rainier or on any of the other seismograms. Okay? Again, this is Camp Sherman at Mount Rainier. Let's go over and show you Camp Muir. This is Camp Muir, guys. Camp Sherman is on the southern side of the volcano. Camp Muir is over on the north side of the volcano, on the upper north side of the volcano. What are we seeing here? Hardly any activity at all after 5 p.m. last night until later this morning. Just tremors. Just tremors here. But what happened later this morning? What happened after 8 a.m.? After 8 a.m., we saw increased tremor activity. Now you also see that these horizontal lines get thicker here. The reason the horizontal lines get thicker is that is magma activity coming into the volcano, called magma pulse activity. The thicker the lines, the more activity, the more magma coming into the volcanic chamber. The thinner lines, less activity, less magma coming into the volcano. All of this activity here shows you that there is a lot of activity at Mount Rainier. Okay? Mount Rainier is having this activity because it is ramping up for a larger eruption. It's ramping up for a larger eruption. Mount Rainier, as I explained to you several weeks ago, has already had an ash eruption. It already had an ash eruption and has been erupting steam for quite some time. How's that possible, Ron? How's it possible? Let me show you. Now, as magma comes into the volcanic chamber, there's magma coming into the volcanic chamber that's hammering away at the plug of the volcano. The plug of the volcano is an old volcanic rock that hardened after the last eruption hundreds of years ago. Okay? As the magma pounds from underneath, cracks appear. Cracks appear here. Why do we have cracks? Because that magma is pounding away at that rock, causing those fissures to open up on the rock. As the fissures get further and further into the rock and rise to the top of the volcanic plug, there is steam inside the volcanic chamber. How's that? Because 6 to 7% of all magma is water. 6 to 7% of all magma is water. And as a result, when these fissures open up on the plug of the volcano, it releases that steam. It releases that steam that's built up from the magma. And we have a steam eruption. Now, seismologists don't like to call it a steam eruption. They just call it steam venting. And that's fine. But that is why the steam is venting. But as that magma continues to hammer away at those fissures get larger and larger. Number one, because that hot steam coming through those fissures enlarges those holes. The very hot steam coming through those fissures enlarges those holes. It is a physics experiment here. This is a physics lesson here. The more steam coming through the volcanic or the fissures in the rock, it is opening up that rock to further activity. As more and more fissures open up in that volcanic plug, all of a sudden at some point in time, that pounding from the magma underneath is going to cause that rock to explode, right? It's going to cause that rock, that volcanic plug, to pop. That's when we're going to have an eruption. Now, we've already known, and we've talked about this in years past, that what's going on at Mount Rainier. There is a bulge on the north side of Mount Rainier. There's a big bulge on the north side of Mount Rainier. If you recall what happened at Mount St. Helens back in 1980, Mount St. Helens also had a bulge in it. What happened in 1980? What happened in May 1980? The magma eruption came out of the side of the volcano. It reduced the height of Mount St. Helens by 1,000 feet. There was a lateral eruption out the side of Mount St. Helens. Now, this may happen again at Mount Rainier. Why? We've seen what happens. We've seen what happens at Mount St. Helens. Okay? As the magma accumulated in the magma chamber, it caused Mount St. Helens to push that bulge out of the side of the mountain. That may have been happening already at Mount Rainier. The bulge has not withdrawn itself back into the mountain, meaning there's been an accumulation of magma in the magma chamber or in a magma reservoir at the base of the volcano. That's what we believe is happening. Okay? But again, Mount Rainier is steaming, meaning a lot of pressure is being released inside the volcanic chamber because that water from the magma is releasing steam. That water inside the magma is releasing in the form of steam. Now, at some point in time, it won't matter because the hammering away at that volcanic rock there, that plug, it's going to cause those fissures to open up. And the more the fissures open up and the more steam, hot steam going through those fissures are going to pop. They're going to pop. It's going to cause an eruption at Mount Rainier. We've already had steam. We've already had an ash eruption. Some weeks ago, I told you that scientists have seen ash at the top of Mount Rainier. So I fully expect there to be something else happening at Mount Rainier probably very soon. We keep having 3.0, 3.5, upwards of 4.5 earthquakes at Mount Rainier. It's happening already. It's a matter of time. It's literally when. We don't know yet. But the activity is already happening at Mount Rainier. You can't ignore it. Nobody can ignore it. Okay? Now let's pop down to Mount St. Helens. What's Mount St. Helens doing? Okay? This seismogram shows you the activity at the East Dome. The East Dome of Mount St. Helens. Okay? Here we have tremors. And we're also showing an earthquake here. The seismograph on top of Mount St. Helens is right on top of the plug of the volcano. The seismograph here is called East Dome. Yes, we're showing you a lot of tremors here. But again, after 1:15 this morning, we had an earthquake here. This is at least a 2.9, 3.0 earthquake. 2.9 minor earthquake, 3.0 small earthquake. It's at that point. It's at that point. Small earthquake here. Now, in this particular case, this earthquake hit at approximately 1:21 a.m. this morning. 1:21 a.m. this morning. Mount St. Helens. Realistically, a 3.0 earthquake here. As I said, we can tell you for firm knowledge that anything over 3.0 earthquake is causing these volcanoes to move, and to move in a great manner. When we get anywhere from 3.0 to 4.5 earthquakes, that means the volcano is beginning to get to the point where it's going to erupt again. It's going to happen. It's literally when. We don't know. We don't know. But we've seen the activity in 1980. We saw it again in 2004. 2004, Mount St. Helens had a minor eruption. Very minor eruption. The 1980 eruption caused major damage. Again, it knocked 1,000 feet off the top of the volcano and also killed 59 people. Caused a lot of damage downriver from the volcano. Caused lahars to go down, melting glaciers at Mount St. Helens and causing lahars to go through rivers. Lahars, tree logs, tree trunks, branches, rock, lava going through the river. Hot steaming lava in the river. It's called lahars. It's going to happen again. When one of these volcanoes erupts, it's going to cause lahars. Promise you. I promise you it's going to do it. Now let's go over here, talk more about St. Helens. I'm going to show you two more seismograms here at Mount St. Helens. This one is the north side of Mount St. Helens, called Sugar Bowl. Sugar Bowl. For all intents and purposes, what we're showing you here at Sugar Bowl are tremors and minor earthquakes. 2.0 minor earthquakes here. And at the bottom, that's also showing harmonic tremors. Harmonic tremors again. The volcano is moving, it's vibrating. Vibrating harmonic tremors here at Mount St. Helens. The next seismogram I'm going to show you here is also showing you the magma activity inside the volcano. Like this. Okay? Up at the top of this seismogram here, you're showing very light magma activity coming into the volcano. But after 10 p.m. last night, between 10 p.m. and 11:30 last night, look at all these wavy lines. This is heavy-duty magma activity coming into the volcano. This is very heavy activity coming into the volcano here. Okay? As I said, at some point in time, we are going to have a eruption at Mount St. Helens. And this pretty much proves it. They want to hide activity on the seismograms, and they're not showing a lot of earthquakes at Mount Rainier. They're not showing a lot of earthquakes at Mount St. Helens either. That's because they turned them down. They turned down the seismographs. So it's not showing much activity on the seismograms. What else did they do on the seismograms? They erased activity. They erased activity. The seismogram should be showing you a lot of earthquakes as a result of this wild magma activity inside the volcano. But it's not showing those large earthquakes. I'm talking 2.5, 3.0, 3.5, and possibly even 4.5 earthquakes here at Mount St. Helens. Yeah. They're happening, but the agency is erasing the data. The agency is erasing the data. We proved it before. That was Mount St. Helens. Let's go south to Mount Hood. What do you think is happening at Mount Hood, guys? What's happening at Mount Hood? Let's go over to the south side of Mount Hood to Government Camp. This is a Timberline seismogram. The Timberline seismograph sits over at Government Camp. Sits in Government Camp on the southern side of the volcano. All we are showing you here on this seismogram is tiny tremors. Tiny tremors and some magma coming into the volcano. Again, the thicker lines here are showing you magma coming into the volcano, called magma pulse signals. The thicker the lines, the more magma coming into the volcano. The thinner lines, less magma coming into the volcano. Now that magma is causing tremors, rock fracturing inside the magma chamber. Rock fracturing inside the magma chamber is causing earthquakes. And on this particular side right here, you see an earthquake that happened after 8 a.m. this morning. 8 a.m. this morning. This earthquake right here. This is again a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. 2.8, 2.9 earthquake after 8:04 a.m. 8:04 a.m. Okay. Now, I don't have a magnetic assurance signal to tell us how far the seismographs have been turned down here, but I believe in this case they probably have, which means this 2.8, 2.9 earthquake could possibly been as large as a 3.5 earthquake. 3.5 small earthquake at Mount St. Helens. Or not Mount St. Helens, Mount Hood. This Mount Hood. Okay? Now let's go towards the northern side, upper northern side of Mount Hood. That's Palmer Lift. Palmer Lift is a ski resort. Look what we're showing you here. These are earthquakes. Yes, you're seeing a bunch of tremors and you're seeing earthquakes here as well. 2.5, 2.6, 2.7 earthquakes. There's also a couple 2.0 minor earthquakes as well. Palmer Lift. Palmer Lift seismograph is a multi-channel seismograph. Guess what we're going to show you? This is the magma activity inside Mount Hood. Again, at the top of the seismogram, you see very little activity. It's just copacetic, which should usually show us harmonic tremors. But it's not showing us harmonic tremors, and I believe the agency took those down. Because this kind of activity could cause, the magma could cause vibrations inside the volcano. This other activity, especially after 11 p.m. this morning, on down to about 7 a.m. this morning. That's good sized activity. Yes, we are showing a 2.6, 2.7 earthquake. But in my opinion, we should be seeing more than just one minor earthquake. We should be seeing several earthquakes. Rock fracturing caused by the entrance of this kind of magma activity inside the volcano. The magma coming into all these volcanoes is under pressure. It's moving at higher speeds, causing rock fracturing. Here they're only showing a couple of earthquakes all day. Now, after 7 a.m. until 1 p.m. today, that's increased magma here. You see a lot of activity here. These VOF waves are moving quite rapidly. That means there's a lot of magma coming into Mount Hood. A lot of magma would indicate earthquakes, but again, they're only showing us a couple of minor earthquakes here. Mostly 2.0s. 1.8 tremors, 2.0 earthquakes here. I believe these earthquakes here should be a lot larger than they're being shown. Okay, Mount Hood is active. Mount Hood is busy. Okay, let's go south. Let's go to Bachelor Volcano. This is Bachelor Volcano here. Bachelor Volcano is now being called Moon. The Pacific Northwest Seismic Network has called it Moon Volcano. Okay, the scientific name on the seismograph itself is called Moon. So the agencies renamed the volcano to what it called the scientific name of the seismograph. Now they are calling it Moon Volcano. Moon Volcano is showing a bunch of harmonic tremors, top to bottom and side to side. There is a lot of magma coming in Mount Bachelor, Moon Volcano, and it's continuing. It's continuous, constant. It's causing harmonic tremors, meaning the volcano is moving. It's vibrating. It's vibrating, guys. Vibrating at low pitch. Okay, that's what causes these harmonic tremors. Now, let's keep moving. That was Bachelor. Let's go down to Newberry Volcano. Okay, Newberry Volcano, the pumice cone. Okay, CPCO, Newberry Volcano. That's what this is. Okay, look at this. Again, up at the top, we're showing tiny, tiny tremors, and it's so tiny that the harmonic tremors are not really being shown until the bottom of the seismogram here. The bottom of the seismogram is showing this magma coming into Newberry Volcano has increased at such a pitch that now the volcano is vibrating late this morning into early afternoon. That's what this is showing. Vibrational activity at the volcano. Newberry Volcano. Let's take a look at another seismogram from Newberry. This sigil. Look at this. Yes, we're seeing some vibrational harmonic activity, but look towards the bottom of the seismogram here. Let's look at the bottom of the seismogram here. Let's bring it up here. Look here. We're seeing 2.7, 2.8 earthquakes. Again, magma coming into the volcano causing rock fracturing inside the volcano. That's what's causing these earthquakes. That's what's causing these earthquakes. Magma coming into the volcanic chamber, fracturing the rock, and it's causing this rock movement. The earth is moving, causing these earthquakes, measurable earthquakes here. Newberry Volcano. Let's continue south. Let's go over Citrus Volcano now. Citrus Volcano is not just one volcano. It's a volcanic complex. It's very much a volcanic complex. So let me move this over. Citrus Volcano is a volcanic complex of 3 volcanoes. Citrus North, Citrus Central, and Citrus South. 3 separate volcanoes here. And yet the volcanoes are only being monitored by one seismogram. One seismogram here. That's what's bad about this. Okay? The Pacific Northwest Seismic Network is only showing you part of the activity. One seismograph could not monitor all 3 volcanoes accurately. But what we're seeing on this seismograph is volcanic activity, magma, and we're also showing you earthquakes here, caused by the magma coming into the volcanic chamber, fracturing the rock inside the volcanic chamber, causing earth movement. Up at the top, look at this. You see this at the top and all throughout the seismograph. We're seeing these magma pulse signals. The thicker the lines, the more magma coming into the magma chamber. The thinner the lines, less magma coming into the magma chamber here. That's what's happening here. That's what's happening. Down at the bottom of the seismogram, we have earthquakes, don't we? We are also seeing harmonic tremors. Harmonic tremors caused by the magma coming into the volcano at such a rate that is causing vibration activity inside the volcano. Harmonic tremors here. We're seeing 2.0s, we're seeing 2.4, 2.5s, we're seeing 2.7, 2.8 earthquakes here. That's what's going on. And down at the bottom, we have a 2.7, 2.8. 2.7, 2.8 in amidst the harmonic tremors here. The citrus volcanoes are moving. They're moving. and the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network, run by the Washington University system and supported by the USGS, should be putting a seismograph on each of the volcanoes. Should be putting a seismograph at each of the volcanoes. They have the money, but they're not spending it on scientific activity. They're refusing to spend it on seismic activity here. Okay? That's what's happening here at Sisters. Now, I want to go south to Crater Lake. Crater Lake is also moving. I want to be clear about this. Crater Lake is also moving. We have two seismographs here about Crater Lake. This is over on the south central part of Crater Lake. This is called the bunkhouse. The seismograph at the bunkhouse on Crater Lake. South central Crater Lake. Here we're seeing magma movement here as well. Again, the thicker the lines, the more magma coming into the magma chamber. The thinner lines, less magma coming into the volcano chamber, this volcano. Okay? But look what we're seeing here. We're seeing earth movement. We're seeing earthquakes here, caused by the magma here. Look at these wavy lines here. There is magma coming into the magma chamber here that's causing these earthquakes to move. It's causing earth move here. Okay? That's what these wavy lines are. Okay? Crater Lake is active. Crater Lake is very active. Let me move this side around to the side for just a minute. I want to talk to you personally here. Okay? Crater Lake is a volcano. At the top of Crater Lake volcano, there are walls around the top of the volcano. Over the years that Crater Lake has been there, there's been snowmelt, there's been rain, and even groundwater moving into the top of Crater Lake. And as a result, there's an alpine cold lake at the top of the volcano. Any steam being released by Crater Lake is going into the water, causing bubbles to pop up in the lake. Now, I've been told by people that have been there, they've seen bubbles in the lake. That is caused by steam coming from the volcano, from the fractured rock inside the volcano. At the plug of the volcano, guys, the plug of the volcano, it's a floor at the top of the volcano caused by cooling when the volcano last erupted. The caldera is holding all that water there. Now, if and when, and shouldn't even say if, because at some point in time, Crater Lake is going to erupt. When that happens, that plug is going to shatter. That plug is going to shatter. Just like I pointed out before, there's magma pounding on that plug of the volcano, causing fissures to open up in the top of the volcano, which releases that steam I just told you about. Steam being released from the plug of the volcano, causing the bubbles in the lake. At some point in time, that magma pounding away at that plug is going to cause that plug to shatter. Then there's going to be caused molten lava. 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, 2,500 degrees hot. It's going to be a catastrophic explosion, what they call a phreatic eruption. A phreatic eruption. This is an alpine lake. Magma does not like water. When hot molten lava hits the water, what happens? It pops, doesn't it? Yeah, it pops. That's what's happening here. That's what's going to happen. Again, this is the bunkhouse seismograph located in the central south side of Crater Lake. Now, fortunately, the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network and USGS has also activated the seismograph at Mount Scott. Mount Scott is on the southwest side of Crater Lake. This is what we're seeing at Mount Scott. Again, you're seeing tremors here. lot of tremors. Some of these tremors, for the most part, are all harmonic tremors, meaning the volcano at Crater Lake is vibrating. Vibrational harmonics. That's happening up and down the entire Cascade Mountain Range. Vibrational harmonics at the volcanoes. Now, we've had Mount Scott shut down for a very long time. So when I'm able to show you Mount Scott, I will. It's unknown whether they're going to shut it down at any point in time because I've done that in the past. There was also one other seismograph that was very active for many years, and they shut it down. It was on the northeast side of Crater Lake, called Fleetwood Cove Seismograph. It shut down. All that we're seeing here at Crater Lake are these two seismographs here. That's what we have to go on. But again, Crater Lake is very active. Don't let anybody tell you because the seismographs don't show much activity, or there's only one seismograph available or none at all. That doesn't mean anything. It only means the agencies are not showing it because they know what's happening. They know the activity at the volcanoes, and they don't want to show it. That's plain and simple. Over the years, you have to figure it out after so many years. When they do that, that's exactly why they're doing it. They don't want anybody to know what's actually going on. That's a proven fact. Now, there's other volcanoes also in the Cascade Mountain Range. The Cascade Mountain Range goes from southwestern Canada all the way down northern California. Let's take a look at the volcanoes in northern California. First, I want to show you Mount Lassen. Mount Lassen is going to erupt. Just like the other volcanoes I've already shown you, there is a lot of activity at Mount Lassen. Now, this seismogram here comes from the USGS. The other seismograms I showed you so far have been all from the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network. Look at what we're showing you here. Let's show you the top of this seismogram right here. Look at that. These are earthquakes caused by magma coming into the magma chamber here. There are tremors and there are minor earthquakes here. 2.0, 2.3, 2.4 earthquakes here. And tremors. These blobs you see here on the seismogram are magma. That's magma that's coming into the magma chamber, causing earthquakes, earth movement. The magma's fracturing rock inside the volcanic chamber, causing these tremors and earthquakes. Now let's move down here a little bit. Okay, like I've said with all the other seismograms, whenever we have a time period after, say, 9 or 10 o'clock at night, we don't see much activity. That's because the seismograph has been turned down. The machine itself has been turned down by the seismologists, so they don't have to answer for the activity that it has at night. That's what happened here. After about 10 o'clock at night, 2200 hours here on the left side of the seismogram here, after 10 o'clock, they turned it down. It's not showing us whatever's going on. They don't want to show that to you. It's very apparent they don't want to show it to you. But all of a sudden after 6 a.m., there's somebody in there that turned it back up. So between 10 p.m. last night and 6 a.m. this morning, turned down. Because all of a sudden after 6:15, 6:30, we see earthquakes here. Look at that. Tremors and 2.0 earthquakes here. Mount Lassen is moving, guys. Mount Lassen is moving. Guaranteed, Mount Lassen is moving. It has not erupted since 1907. Mount Lassen's not erupted since 1907. But it's going to erupt again. It's going to erupt again. Mount Lassen's also been seen steaming. We've shown you pictures in the past. We've also shown you video from Mount Lassen steaming. Now, I've been told by friends of mine that have been at the top of Mount Lassen there's also ash at the top of Mount Lassen. Okay? It's showing activity there, more activity than anything else. More activity than anything else. Now let me go over here and show you Mount Shasta. Mount Shasta is actually north of Mount Lassen. There is activity at Mount Shasta. Let me show you this. This is the seismogram located at seismograph itself. The seismograph is putting out this graph here called the seismogram. The seismogram is showing us long duration term activity here. Long duration term activity. Look at this. Long duration term activity caused by magma coming into the magma chamber here. Okay. The top of this seismogram here is after it appears to be after 3 o'clock last night, but most of this activity here, they've basically had the seismograph shut down because the activity starts here at midnight. Long duration term activity here, starting after midnight. You can see these term activity, long duration term activity here, 7 to 8 minutes. 7 to 8 minutes of long duration term activity here, leading up to a 2.0 earthquake here. These red lines you see on the seismogram are caused by the computer. The computer's putting these red lines here, they're computer generated to get the seismologist's attention, saying, look at this. This is important, look at this. Because yes, we're having 2.0 earthquakes here. Long duration tremor activity causing earthquakes here as well. Okay. Now, again, after midnight here, after midnight, you don't see much activity. Very little activity. Then what happens later on? What happens here later on? More and more activity here. Mount Shasta is moving. We haven't seen the seismogram here at LBO, which is the center north side of Mount Shasta. We haven't seen this seismogram in quite some time. Now, I believe they may have shut this down on purpose, because for the longest time, I was the only active channel showing activity here at Mount Shasta. I was showing you activity at all the Cascade Mountain volcanoes. But I believe they shut it down because they didn't want me showing you the activity. And actually, I believe this activity has been turned down as well. Turned down to a substantial extent. I can't prove it because we have no magma churn signals, but compared to what we had 6 years ago, this is nothing. We are showing you activities such as we have over at Walnut La Puente, over at Bombay Beach in Salton Sea. That kind of activity was happening here on this very same seismograph at Mount Shasta. So in my opinion, my humble opinion, is the USGS have turned down the activity at this volcano. They've turned down the activity at Mount Shasta. They don't want us to know exactly what's happening here. It's very apparent. Now, I've got more activity here that I want to show you. First, I want to explain where this next volcano is coming, where it's at, where it's located. Okay, so let me take this down for just a minute. I want to show you some pictures here. Okay, the next volcano is south there, just 100 miles north of San Francisco. 100 miles north of San Francisco, there is a volcano called Clear Lake Volcano. Clear Lake Volcano. This lake is approximately 20 to 60 feet deep. Very shallow lake here. Notice all the homes, the businesses here, and the piers that are put up here at Clear Lake Volcano. It's very apparent what's going on here at Clear Lake. All kinds of tourist activity, boating, fishing, all over this lake. But guess what? Guess what's happening? The volcano is moving. The volcano is moving, guys. I can prove it. I can prove it. Let me show you the activity at Clear Lake Volcano. Then I want to talk about what's going on at Clear Lake. Okay? Look at this. This activity was not being shown to us at all. This activity is new at Clear Lake Volcano. Until now, it's not being shown. It hasn't been shown. Look what's going on, guys. Let me enlarge this so you can truly see what's happening. Yes, we have tremors here at Clear Lake. We also have minor earthquakes happening here too. These long vertical lines are minor earthquakes. We have 2.5, 2.6s, and possibly 2.7 earthquakes happening here at Crater Lake. Magma down inside the volcano is causing these earthquakes. Magma down inside this volcano is causing these earthquakes. Okay? The top line here is 9 p.m. last night. 9 p.m. last night. These are tremors and earthquakes happening at the Clear Lake Volcano. Look at this. Going into the early morning hours. Look at midnight. Look at 1 a.m. All of a sudden, guess what? We have morning time. Now the bigger earthquakes are happening here. The minor earthquakes are happening here. Look at that, guys. Clear Lake Volcano is moving. It's moving to a great extent here. As I said before, we didn't have this information before. This is new. This is brand new information. I'm going to shoot 2 more seismograms here at Clear Lake. This is another one here. Okay? Up at the top, I want to show you the times here. Up at the top, 9 p.m. last night. Tiny tremors. After 10 p.m., tiny tremors 1.6, 1.7. Then just after midnight, about 12:40, 12:48 last night, all of a sudden we've seen 2 points of earthquakes here. Then we have this earthquake here that looks like a red triangle here. Or not triangle, red rectangle. A red rectangle. Look at the top and the bottom of that rectangle. Again, that shows you the strength of the earthquake, but the top and the bottom being cut off, that means the agency does not want us to see how strong this earthquake is. This is at Clear Lake. They've not been showing us any activity here at Clear Lake for a very long time at all. We have it now. This earthquake here This earthquake here is after 2:30 this morning. This is a 3.03.5 earthquake. As it shows here with the top and the bottom cut off, this is a 2.6, 2.7 earthquake. But because it's been cut off, we can surmise that this earthquake was at least a 3.03.5. Small earthquake. Small earthquake. Another earthquake just about an hour and a half later. That's a 2.6, 2.7. There's another 2.6, 2.7 this morning. And again, both those earthquakes have been cut off at the top and the bottom as well. They may actually be larger than that. But they did not last a lot longer than they're being shown. This earthquake, this rectangle here, the time that the earth shook here was about 20 seconds. 20 seconds. A 3.5 earthquake shaken for 20 seconds. That's a long period of time. People felt that people here in the Clear Lake area felt that earthquake. They felt that earthquake, guys. Now, I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm not trying to scare anybody. I want to show you the data. This is the real data at Clear Lake Volcano. Now, what other data have we shown you here at Clear Lake? What other data have we shown you here at Clear Lake Volcano? South of Clear Lake Volcano, we've shown you that we've had earthquakes down in Sonoma County. Down in Sonoma County. Guess what? Those earthquakes are caused by drilling into the upper magma chambers of this volcano. Those earthquakes that we've shown you are earthquakes caused by magma from steam being drawn out of the Clear Lake volcano. This is a satellite picture of the Clear Lake volcano. Okay. Now I thought I had well, I know I do, in fact. Okay, right here. Let me show you this. See this? This is the Clear Lake volcano here. This is the USGS map here, a satellite map showing you the volcano here, the lake. We're also showing you earthquakes. These earthquakes are caused by men that have drilled into the upper magma chambers of the volcano, and as a result, when seismic energy comes off the Pacific plate, comes over here to the North American plate, it causes these drill points, these man-made drill points, to become earthquake faults, man-made earthquake faults. What we're seeing with these earthquakes here are the seismic energy hitting these earthquake faults, causing Earth to move. Just like it would cause earthquakes over in Texas, Oklahoma, Nebraska, or Kansas. Okay, the man-made drilled earthquake faults here, when the seismic energy hits it, it causes the rock inside the earthquake fault to move. Causes the rock inside that earthquake chamber of sorts, because it's a drill hole, it's causing that rock to fracture, causing earth movement. For the majority of the time, these earthquakes here are just tremors. Tremors and sometimes 2.02 point earthquakes here just south of Clear Lake in Sonoma County, and what they call the Geysers Geothermal Facility. The Geysers Geothermal Facility. They drilled the holes in the upper magma chamber of the volcano to obtain steam to power turbines to generate electricity here in the Geysers complex. That's why we get earthquakes here. But that's not why we see the earthquakes today at Clear Lake Volcano. And yes, we're going to keep a close eye on the Clear Lake Volcano. But let's talk about the Clear Lake Volcano now. Again, the Clear Lake Volcano is approximately 100 miles north of San Francisco. Okay? It's disguised as a lake. There's water in the top of the Clear Lake Volcano. The caldera is down below the water. The caldera floor, which is the volcanic rock that solidified after the volcano's last eruption, that's what's holding the water at the top of Crater Lake, or Clear Lake. Okay? Beneath the piece of water is a clear lake. They're rolling vineyards. But this clear lake is a ticking time bomb. Clear Lake is a ticking time bomb here. It's a ticking time bomb. California's Clear Lake volcano may look quiet on the surface, but scientists are warning that this is a sleeping giant. It's far from dead. I show you the seismographs showing you activity at this volcano. It is known as one of the youngest volcanic systems in California. Clear Lake has been seen and showing signs of unrest in the recent past. Experts believe it has the potential to erupt again in the very near future. But I want to explore this for a few minutes here. What would happen if the Clear Lake volcano suddenly awakened? Guys, what do you think about that? What would happen if the Clear Lake volcano suddenly awakened? What is the connection of Clear Lake volcano to California seismic history? And why are scientists now monitoring it closely? They're monitoring it closely because now they're seeing a lot of earthquakes. They've now been seeing large amount of earthquakes. Just not tremors, but large amount of earthquakes now. Before, occasionally we see a 3.0, 3.5 earthquake at Clear Lake. Now you're seeing minor earthquakes, and I showed you the one seismogram that would be an earthquake, a 3.0, 3.5 earthquake today. Clear Lake is a part of a chain of volcanic systems that shaped the western side of the United States for millions of years. Beneath the peaceful waters of the lake lies a hotspot of geothermal activity that could, under the right conditions, lead to an eruption here. Given the indications from the seismogram we showed you, I believe we could have another eruption in the near future. I'm going to break down what a Clear Lake eruption might look like and the potential consequences for Northern California. Clear Lake does not look like a normal volcano. There was no huge cone. There's no huge cone. It's not a stratovolcano. The towns surrounding Clear Lake are promoting outdoor tourist activity, boating and fishing and swimming. The lake itself, like I said, is moderately shallow. The average depth of Crater Lake is 27 feet, but the maximum depth is 60. It's also situated in communities because of its visual pleasures. The scenery has calming influence on the communities in the California wine country. Could an eruption of the Clear Lake volcano happen in this region? Yes. Will it threaten nearby cities? Oh, yes. All over. Would it disrupt infrastructure and life across the region? Yes. All over and all around Clear Lake are residences. Small towns all around Clear Lake from the north to the south, to the west, and to the east. Communities all around this lake. And tonight I show you the seismic activity happening at the volcano. If this volcano does erupt, and it possibly could, it mostly and most definitely would cause real problems. It would disrupt the communities surrounding the lake and disrupt Northern California as well. Clear Lake volcano could represent one of California's hidden volcanic threats. Whether it's small eruptions, steam-driven explosions, or a larger volcanic event. Understanding Clear Lake will help us prepare for the future. This volcano was powerful enough to black out nearby cities and towns. Black out. Ash falling all over the area. What about the vineyards, the wine country? The ash contains acid, which would burn the plants of the wine country vineyards, choke the skies with ash, and trap tens of thousands with almost no warning. Hundreds, possibly thousands of tourists and campers every year flock to this area. Again, the calming landscape is deceiving. The calming landscape here is deceiving, guys. We have to take a very close look at what's going on here. I believe what we're seeing is serious. Beneath the surface of Clear Lake sits a magma chamber that is very much alive. Scientists have ranked Clear Lake as one of the highest threats of the volcanic systems in the entire country. They have ranked Clear Lake volcano as one of the highest threats of the volcanic systems in the entire country. And yet most people driving along Highway 29 have no idea that they're crossing a volcanic field that is capable of changing life across Northern California in one single day. How do scientists know that the volcano is still alive? The answer lies in the whispers rising from the ground. I showed you the earthquakes that are happening. The seismogram gives us a complete picture of what's going on at that volcano. At first look, you're seeing a very calm atmosphere. Boats going across Clear Lake, people fishing there, people swimming, people even having private docks on the lake. Tourists hike all over the trails around Clear Lake. But the signs of the volcano are breathing. The signs of the Clear Lake volcano means it's breathing. The ground tells a different story than what the tourists are telling. Steam vents are even hissing near the shoreline. Yes, steam vents are hissing near the shoreline, releasing superheated vapor, steam into the air. Pockets of toxic gases, SO2 and CO2, are rising and bubbling at the surface, bubbling through the still waters of the lake. Totally invisible to the hazards that suffocate wildlife, fish. And they could suffocate people also without warning. Just a few miles away, the Earth's intense heat caused by magma beneath the surface. Magma intense heat. The power plants have tapped into it to the south to generate electricity, creating one of the largest geothermal energy fields on Earth. We've talked about the geysers facility. 81 turbines in this area. That energy is not harmless. That energy is not harmless. That steam comes from the upper magma chambers. Magma is still stirring beneath the surface. In other words, this volcano is not dead. It's breathing. The scientists are not allowing the background noises to be heard. The hissing, the steam, and the minor earthquakes are showing signs of unrest. This is a relentless system here. History has shown that when pressure builds up faster than it can escape, then volcanoes don't whisper, they explode. This is not going to be just a local curiosity here. Some of the deadliest eruptions in history were in Iceland. We've seen that happen recently. Iceland's rocky landscape. All of a sudden, we have magma pouring out of fissures in Iceland. We have Mount Pinatubo in the Philippines. Mount Pinatubo erupted with only showing small gas releases and steam vents, only to escalate very quickly into a regional catastrophe, which shut down an Air Force base in the Philippines. Clear Lake also has a threat besides earthquakes. Gas, sulfur dioxide and carbon dioxide gas. If someone is swimming in the shallow ends of the lake and they get overcome by the gas, they're going to die. It is what is underwater in that lake that is one of the threats. The entire region around the lake is laced with fault lines, fractures in the earth that shift and grind under enormous pressure. Under enormous pressure, we have the Pacific Plate out there that's pushing and subducting under the North American fault, under North American Plate, I should say. The Pacific Plate is taking a deep dive under the North American Plate, causing enormous pressure. You can't have volcanoes without the subduction. You can't have subduction without volcanoes. And what else is going on? What else is going on here? Out to the west of the Clear Lake volcano, we have the San Andreas Fault. Again, the Pacific Plate subducting under the North American Plate. The San Andreas Fault. One of the biggest and deadliest faults in the world. Infamous for tearing apart California. Tearing apart California with up to 6, 7, and 8 magnitude earthquakes. Yeah. And to the south there, and to the east, on the east side of the San Francisco Bay, we have the Hayward Fault. We have the Calaveras Fault and the Rogers Creek Faults, the creep beneath crowded suburbs of the Bay Area. These aren't isolated cracks in the ground. These cracks in the ground, these faults are connected to a deadly network transferring stress for like dominoes falling or waiting to fall. Scientists have warned that a strong earthquake on any of these faults could rattle and transfer up to the Clear Lake volcano. Yeah. Those faults to the south in the Bay Area could transfer energy to the north to the Clear Lake volcano, pushing that volcano even closer to eruption. And history's shown us why it matters. Again, I go back to Iceland. A major quake once destabilized the volcanoes in Iceland. We've talked about what is happening on the North Atlantic plate. North Atlantic plate is expanding. It's expanding. With that expansion, we've also seen an increased number of earthquakes in Iceland, an increased number of earthquakes today in the North Atlantic. In the mid-North Atlantic, we had another 5.0 earthquake today. Yeah. These faults are triggering earthquakes in the Philippines. They're triggering volcanoes also there. We've seen earthquakes in California. We're seeing earthquakes around the volcanoes all around California, all the way south to the Salton Sea. It's going to happen. A jolt along the San Andreas Fault may not just damage freeways and homes and businesses and the Bay Bridges. It can spark a waiting hidden giant, a waiting even hidden giant, the Clear Lake volcanic system. But even if the ground stays silent or quiet, Clear Lake volcano hides another danger, one that can kill silently without a single eruption. We talked about the silent gas, the sulfur dioxide and the carbon dioxide being emitted from the volcanic gas. Yeah. The sulfur dioxide and the carbon dioxide is killing plants around Clear Lake and inside Clear Lake as well. Clear Lake volcano is saturated with volcanic gases, guys. Carbon dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, and sulfur dioxide. They seep through those tiny cracks in the plug of the volcano. They seep through the tiny cracks of the plug of the volcano. They seep into the quiet waters of the volcano and also the surrounding soil. Those gases have no color. They have no warning sign, no warning smell except hydrogen sulfide and sulfur dioxide. But in high concentrations, they can suffocate animals and even people in seconds. Around the world, gas disasters have struck without a single eruption of a volcano. Cameroon, for example, had an invisible cloud of carbon dioxide once burst from the lake. The carbon dioxide burst from the lake, rolled down into nearby villages, and killing more than 1,700 people in a single night. Cameroon. The carbon dioxide rolled down the hills from the volcano into the villages that were sitting over in that gully, that area, that gulch. And the carbon dioxide just sits there and suffocates everybody in the gulch. Clear Lake here has the same chemistry. Look at the hills around Clear Lake. It's actually a hidden hazard. Tens of thousands of people live around the lake. And unlike lava flows, you can't outrun the gases. One moment the air is normal, and the next moment it might be deadly. That's why scientists don't rank Clear Lake as a sleeping giant. That's why they don't rank it as a sleeping system either. The danger is not just an eruption. The danger is a combination of threats: earthquakes, gases, magma, and people living right at the top of the volcano. And when this volcano does erupt, the first signs won't be like a Hollywood movie. They won't look like a Hollywood movie that was seen in California 10.0. They won't look like the movie called San Andreas. They'll look at like steam, boiling water, and small blasts that give almost no time to escape. Why? Because the Clear Lake volcano is shallow, 20 to 60 feet deep. When Clear Lake volcano does erupt, it might not begin with a massive eruption. USGS has warned that the first sign could be something more subtle, what they call a phreatic blast. A phreatic blast. All of a sudden, boom. The hot magma hitting the warm water. The hot magma, or even not even warm water, but cold water in that area. It's north of San Francisco. It gets cold there. That hot lava hitting that cold water is going to cause a phreatic eruption without even any warning. Does anybody have any questions what I've been talking about? Okay, I wanted to talk about the Clear Lake volcano today because it is south of Shasta and Lassen, but it still poses a hazard to everybody living in that area. We haven't talked about it until now, but now it's showing signs of problems. It's definitely showing signs of problems. Do we have any questions from anyone about this? I want to make sure that you understand what's going on here. Does anybody have questions? I just wanted to make sure you knew what's going on. Okay? Please, guys, if you live in California or know anybody that does, put this word out. Let other people know what's going on because nobody else is talking about it. Nobody else is even talking about this at all. Aubrey's asking, will there be any warning at all? I don't think so. I don't think so. Because scientists have already acknowledged that they just barely seen the steam and the toxic gases coming from the ground and coming out of the water. They just barely been monitoring this. And again, because the water is so shallow, the water could have a pocket of gas in the water itself. Anybody swimming down there would be overcome by the gas. And the gas would absorb the oxygen from their body, and they would be dead on arrival. Nova Scotia Rich says the same thing could happen where he is in Nova Scotia. You're right. You're absolutely right. Surgery, my friend from Northern Salt Lake, he says they keep it all so secret. Yeah, they don't want anybody to know. Because heaven forbid, they would have to start talking about it. They would have to start talking about it. And they don't want to do that. They don't want to do it. Rich says he has found a seismogram feed from where he lives in the area near Maine. Yeah, seismograms over in Maine. And I'm sure if we plug into the Canadian feed, we probably will find more seismograms from Nova Scotia area. I'll start looking for you, Rich. I'll let you know what I find. Sergey says he believes that's what happens to some animals in Yellowstone. I believe it too. The gas sneaks up in those areas of the ground that are lower than others. These canyons, the gorges, the gullies, and such, the gas flows downhill from the volcano and flows downhill into those lower areas, and anything in those lower areas suffocate. That's what happens. Okay? And the surgery is pretty much right here with what he just said. The agencies, the seismic agency, the seismic agency USGS, the ultimate seismic energy of the U.S. or from the world. USGS does not want to admit what's going on. Heaven forbid. They don't want people to move away because the politicians don't want people to move away because they want to stay elected. If people moved away from these areas, there would be politicians out of work. Yeah. Nancy Pelosi, Pencil Neck Adam Schiff, even Newsom, governor of California, be out of work. Too many more people leave these areas in California, the politicians will be out of work. The politicians are telling the USGS to not say anything. Don't tell everybody everything. Let them find out. Yeah, that's what's happening. Does anybody have any questions about anything we talked about? This is pertinent information. I'm asking you to share it with everybody you know. Share with your family, your friends, your extended family. Share with your neighbors. Share with the people you associate with on social media, and also the people you work with. Share it far and wide. I don't think there's anybody that I don't know that doesn't live over here. I know a lot of people that live in Northern California. A lot. In my travels, I've met a lot of people. And yes, I'm sharing this information to my friends in San Francisco Bay Area. I'm sharing all over. I need you to help me do that. I need you guys to help me do that. Share all over, guys. It's absolutely necessary. Okay? Also, please, if you'd help support this channel by donating to our PayPal that you see scrolling across the bottom of your screen here, or below that, send us a card or letter. Send us a card or letter to our address here, 504 Bethel Road, Box 401, Morganton, North Carolina. The zip code here is 28655. If you have any comments or questions, send us an email, rltnspdema@gmail.com. Send us an email and let us know what you think. Any comments, questions, or even criticisms, please send it to us. We want to know. Again, share this information freely, guys. Everybody deserves to have this information because this is absolutely emergency information. It's emergency information. People in Northern California have no clue what's going on there. They really don't. They think Lassen and Shasta are the only deadly volcanoes, but it's not. It's not. There are many other volcanoes as well. I appreciate you all for being here. I really do. I love and appreciate each and every one of you. Now, in closing, I would also ask this, okay? I ask that you pay attention to God. Pay attention to God. I want to go over to Acts chapter 2, starting with verse 33. This Jesus hath God raised up, whereof we all are witnesses. Wherefore, being on the right hand of God exalted, and having received of the Father the promise of the Holy Ghost, he has shed forth this, which ye now see and hear. For David is not ascended into the heavens, but he saith himself, the Lord said unto my Lord, sit thou on my right hand, until I make thy foes thy footstool. Therefore let all the house of Israel know assuredly that God hath made that same Jesus whom ye have crucified, both Lord and Christ. And what happened? What happened to the people? And when they heard this, they were pricked in their hearts, and said unto Peter and to the rest of the apostles, Men and brethren, what shall we do? What do you think Peter said? Peter said unto them, Repent and be baptized, every one of you, in the name of Jesus Christ, for the remission of your sins, and ye shall receive the gift of the Holy Ghost. Please, folks, pay attention to what God is telling us. Please pay attention to your scriptures. Read your scriptures, for in your scriptures you're going to find eternal life, which gift is the greatest of all gifts of God. Again, I want to thank you all for being here. Share this program far and wide. It takes some money to keep this program there, so I ask you all to consider giving to our PayPal locations, both on Hotmail, paypal.me, rltnspd at hotmail.com, and at Ronald-Tyler-17, PayPal. PayPal.me, Emergency Management Associates 591, one word. EMERMGMT 591. Thank you very much, guys. I love and appreciate each one of you. Have a wonderful day, guys. God be with you until we meet again. We'll see you on the other side. Have an enjoyable evening. Take care, everybody. God bless.
Associates, we're dedicated and true, bringing you the essential knowledge, helping you see things through. From disaster preparedness to navigating recovery's embrace, we're here to guide you in every unpredictable time and place. We break down the complex, make it easy to grasp and absorb, sharing strategies for safety, the vital lessons you can't afford to hoard. So thank you for watching, and thank you so much for your sub. You're a key part of our growing family, a member of our knowledge club. With every like, every share, and every comment you send our way, our critical message spreads further, helping more people every single day. Together we're stronger and more prepared. That's the truth we all abide. You help us build resilience with nowhere for uncertainty to hide. Your engagement truly inspires us. Your feedback acts as a guiding light, helping us continually grow.